Sakura Gozen is the kind of game that catches people off guard because of how comfortable it feels once you settle into it. On paper, it sounds like a fairly simple anime-style side-scrolling action RPG set in a feudal-inspired world. You've got a disgraced samurai, a young girl who becomes central to the story, a tournament looming in the distance, and a journey built around rebuilding a fighting style that has basically fallen apart. That setup is familiar enough that you might expect the game to just coast on charm. But what makes Sakura Gozen stick is the way it turns that simple structure into something warm, steady, and surprisingly easy to get invested in. The story begins with Sakura Uka at the lowest point in her life. She's a samurai, technically skilled, but also reckless, a little foolish, and stuck in a peaceful era where her strengths don't line up neatly with what the world needs from her. After getting humiliated over something small and losing the basic foundations of her life, her weapons, her home, her dignity, she's left in a place where rebuilding herself stops being a noble fantasy and starts becoming a necessity. That alone gives the early game a nice angle. This isn't a chosen hero marching toward destiny. This is someone who hit rock bottom for reasons that are half tragic and half embarrassing. That makes Sakura a much more approachable lead than some ultra-serious warrior archetype. She has flaws, and the game is comfortable showing them. Then, Suzune enters the picture, and that's where Sakura Gozen finds its emotional center. Sakura rescues this young girl from danger in a red light district, and from there, the relationship between the two becomes the thing that keeps the whole game moving. It's not handled like some quick narrative gimmick either. Their bond is the spine of the story. Sakura starts as a mess. Suzune brings out something protective and steady in her. And from there, the journey becomes less about abstract honor and more about what it means to become someone worth following. That's a big part of why the game works. The master-disciple dynamic could have been one note, but instead, it gives the progression structure emotional weight. Every step forward in combat, training, or reputation feels tied back to the idea that Sakura is rebuilding herself in front of someone who believes in her. Gameplay supports that nicely. The action side is side-scrolling and pretty straightforward, but it has enough feedback and momentum to stay fun. You're moving through areas, dealing with enemies using melee attacks and skills, and slowly expanding your options as Sakura regains strength. The combat is not hyper-complex, and that's probably a good thing. It leaves room for the progression loop to do its job. You're not spending the whole game fighting the controls or memorizing some giant system. You're fighting, leveling, learning a few patterns, and watching your toolset open up at a pace that feels comfortable. That sense of comfort matters because Sakura Gozen is built around repetition, but mostly the good kind. Town requests, dungeon runs,